live? Parang hindi. Mm-hmm. Okay. There. Yeah. Hello? 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 Yeah. Okay. Hello? Ayan, are we live? Yes, we are live. Yes, hello. All right. Good morning. Yes. Okay, good morning to everyone. Sana safe kayo. Today is a Saturday. I hope na ligtas kayo, ligtas ang lahat. No? Mm. And for today, mabilis lang naman yung webinar session natin. This will concern about one of the yan, teka, mag-communicate muna tayo. Good morning. Okay. Okay. So, yan, welcome to our 8 viewers for today. Wala sila. Wala sila. So, shall we start? Yeah. So, ayan. Please use the chat box just to put your insights. Feel free. Okay? Feel free po tayo. Good morning po, Ma'am Sheila. Ayan, nakita po sa ating message box. Okay. Ayan. So, start na tayo. Okay, let's go. Sandali lang po. Ayan, nag-load na siya. Ayan. So, welcome to our webinar for this morning. So, I hope nakikita nyo yung slide. So, ayan siya. Mm-mm. 25 slides. Pero I want it to be interactive, okay? Perhaps familiar na kayo sa content and for sure, perhaps you will learn or refresh something about the topic. Okay? Okay. So, good morning po ulit. Ako po si Jeffrey Beltran, college faculty ng National Teachers College and also a Google Certified Educator. And for this session, we will talk about one of the important parts, no, yung pinaka-importanteng parte ng pagtuturo na nasusubok ngayon sa panahon ngayon na meron tayong kinakaharap na sitwasyon, nasusubok tong aspeto na to. Paano to gagawin ng epektibo? Okay? So, ayan. Ang topic natin is about exploring meaningful learning through formative assessment. Okay? So, ayan siya. Medyo challenging kasi meaningful learning. And sa panahon ngayon, mahirap. Ayan, hello. Okay. Kita na po ba ako ulit? Ayan. Sorry na wala. Oo. Sorry na wala. Mabagal lang kay internet. Pero, ito na ulit. Let's proceed. So, let's proceed. Ayan. So, I'll just share the screen. Yung, okay. So, ayan na siya. There you go. So, again, yung, ayan. So, yung topic natin, yan. Yan, yung topic natin would be about meaningful learning through formative assessment. So, bago nawala kanina, sabi natin, ito yung isa sa mga aspekto ng pagtuturo na nasusubok sa panahon ngayon. Paano ka makapagbigay ng assessment in these times, no? Ang hirap pag regular face-to-face instruction, kayang-kaya natin lahat yan. Eh. We have our own ways of assessing, we have our own ways of doing things just to ensure na matututo yung mga bata. And we're good at that. Pero ngayon nasusubok kasi ala eh, hindi natin sila makaharap mismo na yun yung gusto natin. So, eto, yung laman ng presentation, pwedeng alam nyo na, pwedeng bago sa inyo, pwedeng tingnan natin. Pero I have one request. Let's make it interactive. Okay? We try our best. Don't worry, this will be very short. Okay? Sige. So perhaps you will be asking, ano yung gagawin for this particular session? So ito siya. So meron tayong interactive lecture discussion ng formative assessment, assessment in general, tsaka classroom assessment. Bakit siya importante and paano siya may improve or may enhance. So later on, sa last part yon, I'll share some tools baka makatulong. Or kung meron kayong tools na alam, please feel free to share it with us. As well as your practices on how you do assessment today. Importante yon. Then, share and quick demo, if kaya, of some tools that you may know, no, that could enhance assessment implementation. Kasi isa sa mga challenges ngayon is how to implement assessment adapting to the current situation. Kaya iba online learning, iba online distance learning. Well, it's a different topic, pero merong assessment doon and there must be. Okay? Yan. So ito yung next na part. So during the entire quarantine period, no? Um, so during the entire quarantine period, nakapagbasa-basa ako ng research ko, naghanap ako ng researches, nakapag-attend sa mga webinars, um, nakapag-conduct ng survey as part of my own study, and since natuturo rin naman ako ng assessment of student learning 2 this semester, I ask my students and also reflect during our classroom experiences, early parts nitong semester. So ito yung na-synthesize ko, na-gather ko about assessment. Perhaps you could agree o hindi. So tingnan natin. Yan. So sabi, no, assessment daw is an integral part of instruction as it determines whether or not the goals of education are being met. So perhaps we could agree on that dahil syempre we are assessing our learners, no? We have our goals for our learners, syempre aligned to our school, 'di ba? So, ganun ka-importante yung assessment. Hangga't maaari, we tailor fit. Hangga't maaari, we um, modify our strategies just for them to perform, just for them to elicit what we want them to elicit. Para makita nila na, ito pala yun. Okay? That's where assessment comes in. Next, assessment affects decisions about grades, placement, advanced instructional needs, and curriculum. So to support the previous slide, integral part siya ng instruction dahil syempre nakakaapekto siya sa grades, which is concern ngayon ng estudyante, paano sila makakuha ng grade? Placement, are they going to proceed to the next level or next time na ba kami? May naiwan ba kami? Instructional needs. Nabibigay mo ba yung at least materials for them just in case nakakailanganin nila for the activity for them to be accomplished, and sa curriculum mismo. For sure, maraming changes ang magaganap sa lahat ng to, most especially sa curriculum. Marami yan. And there are lots of resources ngayon that would at least enlighten us about the teaching practices during this time. Next, assessments tell teachers. No? Ito naman, kung kanino sa estudyante, this time kay teacher. So assessments tell teachers where to target student interventions and provide additional support. Ayan. So sa atin, syempre, titingnan natin through the assessment strategies na meron tayo. Kakailanganan ba ba natin na tulungan pa yung bata na makausad pa? Or facilitator na tayo? Or most likely independent na matuto yung bata? Or kayang-kaya niya na yung lesson, na-master niya na yung concept? Our assessment strategies would tell us that. And syempre, isa pang importansya ng assessment para sa atin na teachers is for us to monitor student progress to ensure where they're going. Ayan. Oh, kaya natin sabihin na, natutunan na nila to through our strategies. Nakikita natin, ops, balik muna tayo sa sandali. Ops, kaklarify muna natin. Ayan. Okay? So, nakikita natin, oops, we can gauge whether are we going to proceed to the next part or clarify first before proceeding or reteach. So, ganun ka-importante ang assessment. And ito pa. So, next would be classroom assessment. So, I came across one debted order and nag-discuss doon about one particular debted order and discuss tong classroom assessment. And I agree. And tingnan dito, dalawa ang classifications, dalawang types, formative and summative. Ang summative, alam natin binibigay yan after the instruction. Whereas yung formative, binibigay during the instruction, before we start. Maraming ways on how to conduct formative assessment strategies. Pero for you to conduct summative assessment, you must gauge first if they're ready. And that's how formative assessments come in. Okay? So, ayan siya. Making classroom assessment is systematical and perhaps holistic yung approach ng paggagather ng data and information during instruction and after instruction. Okay? So, bibisa natin ng konti. So, let's proceed now with formative assessment para maunawaan pa natin ng husto, ano ba to? Kasi later on, as we go along, may isang factor about bakit hindi naging successful ang pag implement ng formative assessments. Okay? Should you have insights, reactions, please feel free to use the chat box, ha? Alright, so let's proceed. So, ito na muna, basic, no? Let's define first, just to set things. So, ano ba ito sinabing formative assessment? So, formative assessment, it refers to as an ongoing form of assessment. Ongoing siya. Okay? Ongoing siya kasi ginagawa mo siya as you discuss, as you gather information, you can gauge as the teacher kung kaya na o kailangan ka muna mag-interject. And syempre, kung naging successful yung mag-implement, ikaw na student, no? Si student, kaya niya i-assess ngayon sa sarili niya kung natutunan ko to or kung kailangan ko pang i-assess pa ulit na maigi. Yan. Okay? It's an ongoing form of assessment closely linked to the learning process. And I think we could agree with that. That a formative assessment is closely linked to that learning process. Next, ayan. Characteristically informal. Sir, ano ibig sabihin ng characteristic ng informal? Kapag sinabi kasi nating informal, no? Impromptu, bigla-bigla ka na makakaisip ng strategies mo. Still, align naman sa topic mo, pero hindi yung kasama doon sa lesson plan mo or wala doon sa syllabus. Pero informal siya, bigla-bigla. Pero connected pa rin siya. And I came across one research ang sabi, in our country, we are mostly using informal formative assessment in our classrooms. Okay? Pero kahit informal siya, tingnan nyo, it is intended to help students identify strengths and weaknesses in order to learn from the assessment experience. So, ang keyword natin dito sa slide na to is informal, strengths, and weaknesses. Kailangan natin i-assess to gauge the strengths and weaknesses ng estudyante natin before we proceed. Nowadays, ang estudyante, alam nila kung turo pa lang ng turo o hindi. That's how good they are. And ikaw na teacher, syempre, you would think of strategies that would gauge if they know the lesson or not prior to your start. And that's how important assessment is. Kaya minsan most of the time, nagiging informal ang assessment instruction. Okay? Ito, more answers. Pag sinabing formative assessment, it is the process through which an instructor and a learner come to better understand both the learning goals and the student's work. So, syempre, ikaw, may objectives ka na ginawa na aligned sa school and aligned dun sa competencies na prescribed. And yung students, sila naman, kung gagawin pa ba nila to or kailangan pa ulit ng additional activities just to master the concept. Now, bakit kailangan gawin yon? Una, gusto mo muna makita kung okay pa ba yung plano mo, whether to proceed or to continue as per your plans, or alter the course of instruction. Siyempre, most of us alters the course of instruction catering their differences, which is tama, and thus support the development of greater competence. Okay? Greater competence. Kasi di ba pag sinabi natin competencies, these are the sets of skills. Okay? These are the sets of skills na kailangan nating matutunan. Yan. More. Ito naman, mga researches ulit, kagaya ng previous slide. So, formative assessment, yung mga evidences na nakuha about formative assessment is elicited, interpreted, and used by teachers, learners, or their peers. Tingnan natin na elicited, syempre, sino yung gumagawa? Estudyante. Ini-interpret and ginagamit yung results. Nino? Ng teacher. Syempre, tayo yun. Learners, sila yung gumagawa, sila yung nagpa-process, sila magka-come up ng output. Or their peers. Siyempre, meron tayong mga peer assessment, meron tayong mga self-assessment strategies, part of formative assessment. Now, bakit? To make decisions about the next steps in instruction. Meaning, lahat ng nag-gather, lahat ng process throughout the creation of the task, the accomplishment of the task, ginagamit dyan kung ano mangyayari sa instruction. At the back of our heads, sasabihin natin, sir, parang feedback. Well, later on, we will talk about feedback. Very important, very essential. That are likely to be better or better founded than the decisions they would have taken in the absence of the evidences that was elicited. Minsan kasi may mga nawawalang component na importante doon sa activity. Ngayon, anong gagawin mo doon? Kaya nagiging informal minsan yung assessment strategy. Okay? Are there any questions? I would love to entertain first questions. Oo. To our 12 viewers right now, as of the moment. No? May questions pa tayo? Mm-hmm. None so far. All right. So let's proceed with the next part. Um, alam naman din natin na may pinaplano tayo lagi activities for a class, whether it's formative or summative. Pero, paano, paano magiging successful to? Eh, alam natin meron challenges, for sure. Okay? For sure, may challenges yan. So, paano? Okay? So, ano yung mga challenges na yun? And later on, towards the end, paano natin ma-improve ang pag-implement. So, again, nagtanong ulit ako, nag-process ulit ako, and nakapagbasa-basa rin. And ito, I came up with this. So, hindi successful ang formative assessment kasi, yan, formative assessment is not successful because of these. Yan. Ayan siya. Tingnan muna natin maigi. Ayan siya. So, there are 5. Okay? Don't worry, I'll make the presentation available. Okay? So, there are 5. Ayan siya. 5. Alright? 5 kadahilanan o 5 salik, 5 factors. Bakit hindi nagiging successful ang formative assessments? Una, teacher knowledge. Hindi alam kung ano ang formative assessment. Yes, masakit man kung sabihin, nakakalungkot, pero meron po na hindi nakakaalam kung ano ang formative assessment, kailan ginagamit at kung para saan, at kung ano ang mga strategies. No offense, syempre, pero that is why we're doing seminars and webinars, no, to add to your existing knowledge or mas alam na sa ating schema or prior knowledge. Okay? Okay. Next is student learning. Kung hindi mo kayang i-implement ang formative assessment, syempre, magre-reflect agad yan sa'yo at sa mga students. One importance of formative assessment is self-regulation and self-assessment. On the part of the student, nakita niya na, ito pala yun. Okay, alam ko na to, alam ko na to. On your part, okay, successful ka. Pero pag hindi niya kayang i-assess kung natutunan to o nalalabuan pa siya, Well, that must be addressed right there and then. Kailangan niyang ma-address. And isa pa, peer assessments. Yung ni-rate nila yung makagrupo nila, ni-rate yung sarili nila, di ba? Yeah. So, may effect on the part of the student in terms of their learning. Next, teachers' belief towards knowledge, learning, and assessment. May naniniwala kasi na teachers lang ang source ng feedback sa loob ng classroom. Pangalawa, paper and pen lang daw ang paraan para maintindihan ng bata ang isang lesson. Wala nang iba. And isang approach lang para sa lahat. One size fits all approach. Siyempre, medyo kukontrahin natin yan dahil of course, we are now in 21st century learning and learner diversity is very important. We must address learner diversity. Yeah? As one of the professional standards for teachers, one of the domains will be learner diversity. We must address that. Kaya kung one size fits all approach pa rin tayo, well, medyo take a step back, reflect, and try to look for some new approaches. Next would be big class, or some sources would say class size. Sa personal experience ko po, um, pag marami, let's say 50, 55 ang students or higher, no? Ang hirap kasi gusto mo isa-isahin sila, gusto mo lahat sila nakapag-participate, pero syempre there will be hindrances. There will be hindrances. So you have to modify. Sasabihin, di po namin maintindihan eh. Pero malino mong binigay ang guidelines, ang instructions, and objectives. Okay? Now, before we proceed dun sa last part, no, sa feedback, I'll just answer one question here from Jennifer. Is it true that some formative tests given by the teacher as an assessment is sometimes not recorded? Um, Meron kasi po, I have two answers po dyan, ano. Pwedeng ni-record pero hindi graded or hindi ni-record, hindi rin gini-graded pero pinaprocess during class times. Magandang katanungan po yun kasi doon nagkakaroon ng misconception kung formative assessment eh. Some students would say, "Sir, graded po ba to?" Yan. Lagi nilang tanong yan every time magbibigay ka ng activity. Okay? So, yan po yung, yan po yung sagot ko dyan. Based from my experience, there are formative assessment activities na recorded but not graded. But there are also activities na meron din hindi recorded, hindi rin graded, pero pinaprocess kaagad. Okay? So, the last part, balik tayo ulit dito sa factors. So, the last part would be feedback. Ito. Dito tayo expert sa pagbibigay ng feedback. Now, when it comes to giving feedback, dapat, syempre, gusto ng estudyante, hinahanap niyan kung kamusta sila doon sa activity. Kung may score yan, ano pong score ko? Saan po ako nagkamali? Bakit po ako nagkamali? Ano po yung dapat kong gawin? There are students like that. And there are also students na hindi concerned ang activity dahil syempre, binibigay na feedback ng teacher either hindi connected dun sa activity, very general, di ba? Or pwedeng Wala tayong kinalaman doon sa result, yung feedback. For sure, mayroon ganun. Okay? So, these are the five factors based on sa nalihanap ko and nag-gather ko and nagtanungan ko about the challenges that would hinder the implementation of formative assessment inside the class. Okay? Yan. Now, ito yung question na sinasagot, hopefully, nitong webinar natin. Simple na naman siya pero very timely also. Is there a way to teach the subject better? Siyempre, we are very concerned in teaching the subject better, thereby promoting better learning. We all want a learning experience. No, we all want a learning experience that is very meaningful to our students. That's our end goal, palagi. Di ba? Lagi natin itong tanong, ako, in my daily teaching experiences, lagi ko siyang tinatanong everyday sa sarili ko, meron pang pamamaraan or approach that will make the learning experiences better, promoting meaningful learning, di ba? And meron, no, right now, di ba? Today is April 18, and today and this month, no, April, May, mapanahon ng seminars, di ba? And their alternative is making webinars. And maraming online courses ang libre. And in those webinars and online courses, there are assessment activities. Di ba? Yung desire matuto, still there. Integrating technology, pero highly emphasizing learning at your own pace. Di ba? Nagkakaroon pa rin ng learning process. Now, yan. Let's now proceed with some tools, no? Some tools for helping the implementation of the assessment. Some tools. Some tools tayo. Let's now proceed with some tools, no? Alright. Hello. Ayan. So let's now proceed. Ayan. So, ito yung ayan. Ayan. So, yun yung tanong kanina. Ayan. So, already. Pinakita ko lang po just for everyone's consumption. Ayan. So, there are assessment activities that are recorded and not recorded, not created, but processed inside the class. Alright. So, again, let's now proceed dun sa mga tools, no? So now, for these tools, no, maybe yung iba alam nyo na, you could share how you use it, no, inside the class. Or, kung hindi pa, well, I'll be glad to at least quickly demonstrate to you despite the time. Okay? So, here. So, I'll start now. Ayan. So, here is the first, no? The first tool that I use, no? Ayan. That would be Padlet. So, Padlet, I'm very amazed, no, in how Padlet is being utilized. Kasi when we talk about Padlet, you make the student respond. You make the student elicit their response. Even the most quiet student would respond. No? Now, sir, bakit Padlet? It is, kung if you have activities that would require if you have activities that would require at least a quick um, response, perhaps this could be the right tool. No? This would be the right tool. Okay. So next, no, I'll show Padlet later on again. Next, we have mm, more of the student response system again. Next, we have this. Um, of course, Google Forms. All right. So Google Forms is very user friendly, and it could be integrated to different websites, different LMSs for some, and it will depend now on your purpose. How are you going to make Google Forms um, tailor fit to your process activity? Okay, you can create a form requiring them to answer everything. You could, just like in my previous webinar, um, you could also create a survey form, or in my previous activity, um, an activity that would gauge what they've learned, some gray areas. You could use that. Okay, you could use Google Forms for that. Mhm. Okay, I'll try to make one. Okay, if you have questions, well, just feel free um, to put it in the chat box. All right. Okay. Next, no, I'll make this quick. Okay. Alright. Next, we have um, here. For our oh, for our next, no, we have Google Classroom. Some will be familiar with Google Classroom, some are not. When we So Google Classroom, as we all know, is a learning management system, no, and we are using it commonly for monitoring student progress, um, giving materials, resources, and some teachers would also use Google Classroom for attendance, no, and Google Classroom is very easy to use. No? Next, so um, we have Google Classroom, we have Google Forms, also Edmodo. No? I will not show it na kasi medyo mabagal yung connection. But the next is Edmodo and Google Classroom. Then after that, we have here, yeah, here, Mentimeter. Okay, so Mentimeter, you know, Mentimeter is an interactive presentation software. Now I'm using this to gather quick responses to my students. And it's so easy kasi as you give the question, you give it according to, of course, your lessons. And then you modify how the results will be generated real time. Okay? When we say real time, it's real time. Yeah, it requires internet connection. But I use the word cloud feature of this. Yung word cloud niya maganda. Kasi as they input their answers, you can project it and see, and as they input, they would quickly see the results. No? And as they see the results, they would notice that the bigger the word is, that would be the common answer. And the varied responses would be seen afterwards. Okay, so that is Mentimeter. Next, we have the here the last two. So here, so the last, no? Last we have. So we have Kahoot. Yeah, Kahoot. Kahoot. So Google Forms, Kahoot, quizzes. So perhaps some would use Flickrs. Yeah. These are student response systems. Very engaging because there are gamified elements to this. Scoreboard, and as I process to my students, there are it is enhancing their eye-hand coordination as well as the engagement factor would help that. Pero ang ganda. Ang ganda niya. Oo. Pero syempre, there are pros and cons in using this. Okay? So as you can see here, yeah, it's used for self-study. Yes, some would use it as a reviewer also. Um, Distance learning, just provide the necessary links for them to process. And during class activities, very um, usable. Then we have, then we have, We have, yeah. Any questions po for our 8 viewers right now? And for our last, no, for our last tool, we have, hmm, okay, wait, sige. So for our last, no, for our last tool, we have quizzes. Ito. I prefer, in my own experience, I prefer this one. I prefer quizzes than Kahoot, no, because, yeah, so quizzes kasi is more of a self-paced rather than Kahoot that requires for them to look at the bigger screen as compared to quizzes that you can actually do it in their respective monitors. No? And they can review the answers immediately. You can see the other important details, no, average time, and other important things, plus the results are automatically generated. So on our part, it is easy to process. Okay. Plus now you can have this option whether to do it for lecture purposes or a summative assessment. Okay. So let's quiz this. Now I would okay. So here's a question from Ma'am Gertrude. Good morning. Good afternoon, ma'am. Sir, can you please give us examples of performance-based assessment as part of the formative assessment? Thank you po. Okay. So we talk about now for performance-based assessment. Performance-based assessments would be varied according to the subject area that you will teach. Okay. It will now depend on what le- um, the performance-based activity would be aligned to what you are teaching. Kasi kung bibigay tayo ng activity, dapat um, based sa tinuro natin. Pero yon basically, performance-based assessment as part of the formative assessment should be aligned at maaari at all times to your um, lesson. Pero one of the commonly used formative assessment activities would be group dynamics. Yeah, kasi group dynamics is used both for formative and summative assessments. Next question we have from Sir Jeric. Good afternoon. Um, where to get those applications? Padlet, Mentimeter, quizzes. Okay. I'll just put the link down. No? Pero it is searchable naman. Just type those applications and you can search it. There are also applications na libre totally. There are also applications that are freemium, meaning free for a certain number of time. Then, if you want to continue, if you're happy, then you have to pay. Pero there are also apps naman din na free. Oh, totally. And some insights here. Yeah, from Ma'am Sheila. Been using Padlet for years now, and this is very handy and useful. Yes. I learned Padlet from my media and technology class in the graduate school. And after that, um, I've been using Padlet for all my classes also, and they like it. Every time na may technology integration, students will love. Okay? Ayan. So, I'll wrap it up na. So, to wrap everything up, no? So, to wrap everything up, yan. So, to wrap everything up, no? Assessment in general answers this question we always ask every time. Natuturo tayo. Are we teaching what we think we are teaching? Di ba? Yun lang yun. Natuturo ba natin yung dapat nating ituro? Kasi we plan every day in our lessons, especially now. You know, we plan still, for those who are still continuing the semester or finishing the semester and grading, still we plan how we do it. And eto, on the end of the students, are students learning what they are supposed to be learning? Natututunan ba nila yung dapat nilang matutunan? Yan ang nagiging challenge sa panahon ngayon. Natututo pa ba sila? Some students would say na, hindi na nga po eh. Mahirap po matuto kasi kailangan go online. Pero ibang students naman na-appreciate na nagpaplano pa rin yung teacher to conduct the lesson in a simple manner. Pero on our part, syempre, we cater to their differences hanggat maaari. Now, eto, formative assessment, kapag na-implement ang tama, along with if you consider meaningful learning, syempre, you have to explain first ano yung dahilan bakit mo ito ipapagawa sa bata. Okay? Explain mo. Bakit? Okay? You always explain the rationale or the purpose. Next, hindi ka totally mawawala. You are now the facilitator of learning. And eto, one of our important roles, we gather and record feedback. Yung mga tools, tutulungan kanyang mag-gather ng feedback, ng results for you to process. Okay? Pero ikaw ang mamimili kung anong tamang tool para dyan. Okay? And of course, part of the feedback recording would be choosing the meaningful activities or questions. Sabi nga ng isang question kanina, the performance-based assessments. Choose the right performance-based assessment activity for your topic. Palagi yan. Okay? Now, these four would make the assessment strategies successful. Okay? Ayan. So, I always end my webinar with this. So, no matter what innovation is on, teachers will never be out of fashion. Palagi yan. Oo, sige, may mga innovations dyan, may mga different tools and platforms na ginagawa palagi, no? Na kinikater lahat ng dapat i-cater, addressing 21st century learning. Pero, ikaw pa rin, teachers pa rin ang pinaka-best innovation inside the classroom. You are always be the best innovation inside this classroom. You are in charge of what tool to be used, and you will process whatever experiences that they will be experiencing. You are still large and in charge. Yan. So, kung may questions po, feel free to communicate. I'm always open. Ayan. So, if you have questions, um, feel free. Okay, feel free po to communicate. Okay? So, yeah. So, I'll make the presentation available. I'll make the um, slides available to you. So, yeah. Any questions pa po? Do we have still any questions to our 10 viewers right now? Alright. So, kung wala na pong questions, thank you very much for paying attention, for attending our webinar. Sana po marami pa pagkakataon na makapag-share kahit papaano ng kung ano man meron akong natutunan. So, stay safe. Um, this too shall pass. God bless everybody. Have a wonderful Saturday, Sunday, and few days, few weeks to come, few years to come in our lives. God bless everybody. Stay safe.